Hello everyone, my name is Mohammad Ali and I'm a cloud engineer at IFI Tech Solutions. Along with me, Samiksha Shetty, who is also a cloud engineer. And in today's webinar, we'll be going to cover the important aspects of application modernization on Azure. So before moving forward, I would be introducing our organization, IFI Tech Solutions. IFI Tech Solution is basically Microsoft Cloud Gold partner and 2020 Microsoft Partner of the Year finalist. And our major vision is to help enterprise and SMBs with their digital transformation. Within the 6 years of time span, we have delivered around 300 plus projects, and we have 230 plus customers across the globe from US, UK, UAE, Australia, and we have almost migrated around 3,000 plus servers from different cloud service providers like AWS and all, and we have almost spent 36,000 plus consulting hours. So that's all about IFI Tech Solutions. Let's move on to next slide and see what are the agenda for this webinar. So let's see. So in today's session, we'll be going to explain you what is application modernization, what is serverless computing, and what are the serverless technologies like Azure Web App, Azure Functions, SQL as a Service, and Azure Kubernetes and Azure Container Instance. So without wasting time, let's move on to next slide and see what is app modernization. So basically, app modernization is a process of moving your legacy application onto cloud, so that you don't have to invest a lot of time and a lot of money into managing your infrastructure. Instead of that, you can actually put efforts on developing new features and actually gain more productivity in terms of development. And you can actually create a lot more complex application within the shorter period of time. So that's all about the application modernization. But there are a lot of customers who are actually interested into serverless technologies, who ask us like, what are the technologies, top technologies, serverless technologies, which will be beneficial for our business? Why do we actually why should we actually move to Azure, or why should we actually move to cloud, and what are the benefits of moving to the cloud? So these are some important questions. These are some common questions which customers usually ask us. So in upcoming few slides, we'll try to address all of these questions so that it would be clear for all of us to understand Azure cloud better. So moving on to next slide, basically we will be seeing what exactly we have at this point of time, and what we would be having after migrating or after moving our legacy application onto cloud. So basically, there are a lot of organizations of all the sizes across different industries and verticals are actually adjusting and realigning their business around the digital experience, because they have actually realized that the majority of interaction between the customers, employees, or their partners going will be digital in nature, using different applications in the form of CRM. It can be ERP application, it can be any communication channel. So what happens is, whenever the business grows, it would require a lot of infrastructure related stuff, like a lot of management related stuff. You have to manage all the infrastructure. Whenever you wanted to add any additional resources, you have to pre-plan, you have to invest a capital expense. So these are some these are some disadvantage of traditional server-based systems. So after moving on to Azure, after moving on to cloud, what we would be having? So we would be having major platform support, like from any framework. You can actually deploy any kind of application with major platform support, and you would be having a lot of tools, intelligence tools, so that you can collect data related to your application, to your environment, and perform some analysis related stuff, and basically perform analysis related stuff. And you can actually predict the future of your organization, or that data can be actually useful for security related stuff. and so on. And there is no limit for creating resource, or you don't actually have to pre-plan, or you don't have to actually invest a lot of initial capital expense to create any kind of resources. All you can do is just go to portal, and in few more clicks you can actually deploy your new resource. And one more thing, one important thing is, you can actually focus on applications functionality rather than managing the infrastructure. So that's all about the features of moving on to the cloud. Uh, Now, moving on to the next slide, which is modernization strategies. Modernization strategies. So by moving on to the cloud, we can actually gain more innovation, and our organization, we can actually grow our business by adding more innovative ideas to our application, ideas to our product. So let's see what are the major factors which are considered while moving on to the uh, cloud, or basically modernizing our applications. So the first major factor which is considered, you can actually reduce the 80% of your administrative task, like remove patching, network setup, firewall configuration, and etc. One more important aspect is you can actually reduce the app delivery time by almost 50% by optimization and stuff. So instead of waiting for a longer period of time, or doing certain things manually for releasing your new product or new release of your product, so that would take some time to update in traditional system. But by moving onto the cloud, we can actually improve app delivery time by almost 50%. The last but the most important factor, which we have already seen, like we can actually collect a lot more data which we were not able to collect in the case of traditional system, and we can actually analyze those data, and we can use those data for the security purpose. We can actually predict the future of our organization, what are the benefits we can actually going to have, what kind of infrastructure will be looking forward, like is there any requirement for auto scaling, or is there any requirement for adding new resources to the infrastructure, cloud infrastructure. So these are some kind of data in terms of log, in terms of insights. So you can collect all those data and make use of those data. So basically you can predict the future of your organization. So now moving on to the next slide, why now and why Azure? So in today's competitive market, every business have different applications, internal application. It can be internal application like CRM, HR related application, ERP related application. But there are a lot of communication gap between the customers and the applications, the business. So what Azure does, Azure helps to fill the gap between businesses and their customers. So by actually considering Azure, you can make the communication between the customers and the business seamless. So now moving on to the next slide, there are some triggers. There are some basically reasons why we should move on to Azure. So when so you can consider some scenarios, some situations which will basically trigger, and you can actually consider moving on to the Azure. So consider the first scenario like data center contract expiry. So whenever the data center contract is going to expire soon, you can actually think of moving your resources onto Azure, or there is urgent capacity, urgent need of adding more resources in less time with less planning. So you can actually opt for Azure. There are a lot of reasons like security related threats, compliances. There are more and more options like application innovation, software and support. So these are some triggers. We can basically think of migrating our resources onto Azure. Now, moving on to next slide, modernizing with managed services. So there are some challenges in traditional server-based system. So we'll see challenges first, like In traditional system, we'll have to manage our own infrastructure. This is kind of the reason which will actually slow down the business growth. And there are a lot of issues because it was basically manual system. All you have to do is whenever you have to publish a new release, you have to build that software, you have to publish it onto the server manually. But by moving on Azure, you will be able to have managed services. Managed services in the sense, like you don't have to perform all the administrative tasks like uh, creating new release, building new release. What you can do is just integrate the DevOps support with the Azure, and you can update your applications, update your softwares within shorter period of time, and much faster than the traditional one. So moving on to the next slide. This is something the key platform application. Like these are some major applications which will be helpful for us in future for the to moving our existing environment like Azure App Service, Azure Functions, Azure SQL Database, Azure Kubernetes Service, Azure Container Instance. So these are some major application which we will be considering in future and will be having an in-depth overview of all of these. So moving on to the next slide, what is serverless computing? So basically, serverless computing does not mean that there are no servers, but what actually Azure does, Azure actually create a intermediate layer, abstraction layer. So you don't have to manage server by your own. All you have to do is Azure. What Azure does, Azure provides some high level functionality like UI based functionality for your server to manage. Like in upcoming set, we'll be seeing Azure App Service, and I'll try to give overview of each of the functionality, like how you are going to manage the server, how you're going to publish the application, what are the factors you can consider, what kind of logs you can consider, how to enable logs, and etc. So let's move on to next slide, benefits of serverless computing. As we have already discussed, uh, serverless computing is kind of where you don't have to manage the infrastructure. All of the infrastructure related management stuff is going to handle and taken care by Azure itself. The next important feature is dynamic scalability. So as we are using serverless technology, there are a lot of tools like auto scaling and management, auto backup, and there are a lot of tools as well, like Azure Kubernetes services, where you don't have to manually increase the instance. Whenever the traffic goes up to a certain extent, your system would automatically add one more instance. And automatically remove that instance whenever the traffic goes down. So this is something the dynamic scalability is. The next important factor is faster time to market. Since we have moved, yeah, or we are actually planning to move onto the Azure with the serverless computing, we would be having a lot of time as we have actually eliminates um, all of the time consuming stuff related to management, server management, server scalability. So we can actually focus on market value, we can actually focus on customers need, and we can create more flexible application, more complex structure of the application. So that's it. One more thing is we can actually utilize all of the resources with efficiently. Since we are using serverless technology, so we don't have to manage this stuff, and we can actually containerize application. We can actually isolate each and every application into different containers, kind of. So we can basically utilize the entire resource properly. Moving on to next slide, why to choose Azure serverless solutions? So basically, we have already discussed like there's no server management. The second one is developer are only charged for the server space they use, which is basically a cost-effective serverless technology. We can consider Azure App Service, like we can create an app service plan, we can create an app service, and then we can deploy that application whenever the application is whatever the space we have selected, that's the space we are going. The Azure is going to charge us for that. Another thing is we can actually deploy our application in any of the region Azure has provided, and Azure has provided a lot of regions like from Western Middle East, from US, UK. There are a lot of regions. So you can actually deploy your application according to your need, according to your need of region, so that you can actually decrease the latency, or you can basically uh, the code, the user, end user of the application can come closer to the product as well. And also with this help of serverless technology, you can actually enable the faster deployment and faster upgradation of your application. Also, serverless technology is kind of highly scalable. So you, as I have already told you that we can actually leverage the entire, we can actually efficiently use all the resources and highly scalable. We'll definitely see in upcoming slide how we can actually scale scale the product, scale the Azure App Service, and like that. So moving on to next slide, the Azure App Service. Okay, so basically, Azure App Service is fully managed PaaS service, which is integrated with a lot of tools like auto scaling, custom domain binding, custom. There are a lot of custom CI/CD pipeline binding. So we'll be seeing all of the features of the Azure App Service, and why we are actually going to choose Azure App Service over different traditional systems. So as we have already seen that there are wide range of technology support, wide range of framework support. So why to choose Azure App Service? Okay, so Azure App Service provides a lot of framework support, multiple language support. One more thing, it is highly scalable and available. And another thing is that like we can actually integrate, we can actually work with DevOps practice, and we can completely integrate CI/CD pipelines with the Azure App Service, so that the development and deployment process can be faster. And with the help of security and compliances, we can achieve the higher business goal. Okay, so the next one is like you can actually use any kind of IDE, any template, any tool to deploy your application onto the Azure App Services. Now, let's move on to the next slide, how Azure App Service works. So basically, Azure App Service make use of distributed system platform framework for the development and management of custom application. This distributed framework is also known as the Microsoft Service Fabric. One of the primary advantage of App Service, Azure App Service, is that it is basically fully managed platform. Okay. The one more thing is it is basically optimized for hosting websites, web apps. Also, it supports Windows and Linux containers. So even if there are certain limitations, if there are certain languages which are still in preview, or which are still in preview phase, which are not supported for the Azure App Service. So what you can do, you can just containerize your application with the help of that particular technology, and you can actually build your application and integrate your containers with the Azure App Service. So basically, we have a lot of plans like isolated environment. We have shared space. So basically, what it does, it provides highly scalable and isolated environment, so that you can actually create your own environment, your own on-premises like environment, but on Azure clouds. Now, let's move on to demo part. So now, how to create a web app on Azure. So all you have to do is just go to portal, then create a new resource, go to the web section, and then you can just pull out this, and you can select subscription, select resource group, and then you can actually provide uh, resource group, a unique name to the web app, like okay. So what next you can choose? You can either choose code, or you can either containerize your application. By choosing code, you can actually select the predefined stacks of technology, like from .NET Core 3.1, 2.1. You can actually select 4.7. You can add Java related support. You can add Node related support. You have Python related support, Ruby, and so on. So you have a lot of technology stack supported for the web app. And then after selecting this technology stack, you can choose whether you wanted to go for Linux-based app service plan, or whether you wanted to go with Windows-based app service plan. Then you can actually choose the region where your customers will be, like if you're planning to create a website for Middle East, so you can actually create the resource to the nearby region, so that your customers cannot I mean you don't have to add latency to the application. So these are some options like you can opt for. One more thing, you can actually create one app service plan, and you can deploy multiple websites on the same app service plan, so that you don't have to opt for different uh, billing options. So only one bill, you can actually choose one app service, so that you can centralize, or you can actually centralize the billing option for your system. Since I've already created one, we'll just move on to that place and see what are the options available for the web app. So I have created a web app with the name App Modernization Webinar. Okay, so as you can see, there are a lot of server-related operations, server-related settings you can actually manage. You can create deployment slot. You can manage the configuration settings of your application. You can add custom domains. You can basically manage TLS, SSL-related settings. You can actually restrict the access to the web app by adding network-related support. You can uh, enable auto scaling for your application from here. You can anytime you can scale up or scale down your app service plan. And there are a lot more options, like you can use Kudu console, you can use consoles, you can put your application behind the API management. You can collect logs from the application, so that you can make use of those logs for the security purpose. So that's it. And now we'll see how easy it is to publish any application onto the Azure. Since we have created this application for supporting for ASP.NET 4.7, and I've already created one demo application over here, and I'm using Visual Studio Code for publishing the application. Says Visual Studio Code is kind of lightweight IDE. You don't have to add all the extension needed. All you can do is just add the extension, whatever the necessary extensions are. So for developing .NET related application, C# related application, all you can do is just add a C# related extension. And for publishing, or for connecting your integrating your application, or publishing your application onto Azure, you can just add one more extension, which is Azure Tools. So with the help of Azure Tools, it would provide the functionality within the Visual Studio Code, so that you can publish your application with simple one or two clicks. So I'll just show you how you can publish your applications. So all you have to do is just right click on this, and you can actually deploy to the web. But since I've already published this web app, I'm not going to publish this again, since it would take around 5 to 7 minutes, depending upon the workload, depending upon the files, depending upon the libraries you have used. It would take a certain amount of time. Okay. So basically, we'll see how easy it is to publish the application. All you have to do is just go publish and click OK. Click deploy. It will start deploying your application to the Azure web app. So now we'll move on to portal and see how it is easy to access your web app. So all you have to do is just copy this URL, which is provided by Azure for the development and testing purpose, you paste this URL over here, and that's available. So this is something highly available, Azure App Service. You can make use of App Service for your organization and achieve more and more business goals. Now, let's move on to next slide, functions. So for what are functions? So Azure functions are kind of combination of code plus event plus data, which is something Azure functions will provide flexibility. Like you don't have to always pay for the app service plan. Like in earlier stage, we have app service and app service plan. All you have to do is just create an app service plan and pay for the entire web app. Over here at with the help of Azure functions, all you can do is just create an Azure functions, and Azure functions will let you uh, pay by per executions. So let's just see what is pay by execution or micro billing. So let's move on to the next slide. We'll see what are these factors and what are the benefits of this. So server abstraction. Abstraction is something like it gives you complete freedom from thinking of provisioning and maintaining or scaling any server and infrastructure aspects. By event driven, you can actually you will actually have ability to handle any volume of traffic without explicitly configuring your Azure function apps. One more thing I wanted to tell you, like the Azure function can handle sudden jump from 0 execution to 10,000 execution seamlessly. So you don't have to worry about the traffic and stuff. One more thing, micro billing. So what does micro billing means? So micro billing is something like you can only pay for what you use. Like Azure functions charge you per transaction basis. So whatever the transaction amount you have utilized, only that part of utilization you have to pay, nothing else. So now let's move on to next slide. Okay, so as I've told you earlier, the Azure function is purely on the basis of triggering and events. It is purely basis of events. So there are certain triggers and bindings which you can implement with the Azure functions, like HTTP triggers, timer trigger, Azure Queue storage trigger, Azure Service Bus Queue trigger. So there are a lot of different applications, different tools which you can integrate with your Azure functions. For example, if you have a backup system where you actually take database backup of your database at 2 p.m. every night. So what you can do is just create a time trigger function app, and you can actually put that piece of code over there. So basically your function app will be going to execute at that particular time and take all the backup of your database and put that somewhere else, so that you can be sure that my database backup is done. So that's it for the functions app. So moving forward to the next slide, Samiksha Shetty, my colleague, will take care of all the remaining services like SQL as service, Kubernetes, and stuff. Samiksha, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Samiksha Shetty. I'm a cloud engineer at IFI Tech Solutions. I'll be covering topics related SQL as a service, AKS, and ACI for this seminar. So yeah, if you have any queries, you can post on the chat. We'll be trying to answer your questions. We'll be also covering the your queries and doubts by the end of the session too. Okay, let's start. Uh, the topic is SQL as a service. So basically, what do you mean by SQL as a service? Azure SQL database is a intelligent and scalable database service which is built for the cloud. It is always up to date with the AI powered and automated features with optimized performance and durability. Basically, SQL database delivers most predictable performance, which has multiple resource types, service tiers, and compute tiers. It provides you with a dynamic scalability with no downtime, built-in intelligent optimization, global scalability, and advanced security options. So basically, these capabilities mostly allow you to focus on more rapid app development and accelerating your time to market rather than managing your virtual machines and infrastructure. So yeah, so let's look at the benefits of Azure SQL Database. So the first one is basically fully managed database, which automates your updates. Azure SQL Database is like a fully managed platform database engine that handles most of the database management and provisioning, backups, updates. So the basic upgrading and patching is almost handled automated. So you can focus more on the application development part. The next benefit is it is more flexible and it has a responsive serverless compute and has an hyperscale storage which can adapt to your different requirements. It's always running on the latest stable version. Okay, and so you don't need to worry on that particular part too. So the third benefit is that it has different layers of protections, controls, and intelligent threat detection capabilities. Basically, these intelligent protection helps you efficiently and productively meet your data security and compliance requirements by proactively monitoring all your potential threats and vulnerabilities. The features like information protection, threat detection, SQL database proactively discovers and protects the sensitive data and later uncovers the potential vulnerabilities and detects the activities that clouds indicate a threat. So the last one benefit is built-in AI and built-in high availability. Uh, Basically, it enables you to focus on more domain-specific database administration, and it has a uh, maintains a peak performance and durability with an SLA of up to 99.99%. So now let us look at the Azure SQL price performance. We'll be basically comparing the price performance with Azure SQL DB with one of the competitor, that is AWS. So basically Azure is 3.6 times faster and 86% less expensive than AWS for Azure SQL workloads. And that is highly that is what we are opting for. It has a built-in high availability, which helps us ensure business continuity without extra configuration or replication or database costs. You can customize your compute and storage resources based on your workload, which is very important and gives a flexible and transparent pricing rule. You can save up to 55% on your vCore based options. You can which lets you migrate your SQL Server licenses with more active software assurance. So basically, yeah, by switching to Azure Database, SQL Database, you do not have to invest much time managing your server. It optimizes your cost without worrying about your resource management with the serverless compute. And as I told you in previous slide, by using hyperscale storage resources, which automatically scale. I'll be showing you a demo, which basically shows us how easy it is to create an SQL database. So you have to just let us create one. I'll show you how to do that. Basically, you can select create your own resource group or select one from the already built. I will be using the one I've already created, which is a demo RG, and you can select the subscription according to your needs. In this slide, I won't be showing you exactly how to build a database, but I'll be showing how quickly is it possible. So let us take a demo name. So this will be your database name. So I'll be showing you a demo on how to create an SQL database, which will be more focusing on how easy it is. So let us start with that. Yeah, you can select your own subscription, you can select your own resource group, or else create a new one if you're interested. You can give a database name, and or else if you and plus you can create a new server, or else if you have already created one, you can access that. I'll be using the one which I've already created. Compute and storage option basically depends on you, how your workloads are. So it depends on if you want a provisioned or else a serverless ones, if you're going for vCore or else DTU, that's all on you. So I'll be using a basic one which has 2 GB DTU. Let's select that. Move on to the next. The network configuration is basically depends on you. So this is how you'll be creating. I won't be creating it right now because I've already created one. So I'll be showing you that. This is the one I've created. So yeah, so this is how easy it is to create an Azure SQL database. There is no major high-end development or configurations. You have to just take here is the server name, here is the connection string. You can just use a single server for multiple database connections. So yeah, let us quickly jump back to our slide, and I'll be showing you how we can further more process. Which is Azure Kubernetes Service. This is like Azure Kubernetes Service is one of like major app modernization products which used in today's world. You can say that it offers serverless Kubernetes. It is an integrated continuous CI/CD, gives a CI/CD experience, has an enterprise grade security and governance. You can unite your development and operations team on a single platform basically, and rapidly build and deliver or scale applications with ease. For example, if an organization could use AKS to automate and streamline the migrations of applications into containers. First, it could move the application into the container, then register the application with ACR or else with any registries if you're interested. Then the AKS to launch the container into a pre-config environment. Similarly, so basically AKS can deploy, scale, and manage a diverse group of containers, which helps you to launch and operate different micro-based service applications. So now let us look at the benefits of AKS. The first is fully managed Kubernetes services. It basically it means an organization can use AKS to deploy, manage, and scale the Docker containers and containerized-based application across the clusters of container host. It offers easy deployment and management of these containerized application with efficient resources utilization, and elastically provisions them with any additional resources if you need. So the next benefit is elastic provisioning. Basically, elastic provisioning is like a capacity without the need to manage the infrastructure, and has the ability to add multiple event-driven auto-scaling and different triggers. Fast end-to-end development. You can experience this kind of development with Azure Dev Spaces, including integration with Visual Studio Code, having a Kubernetes extension tools, or else Azure DevOps and Azure monitors. Basically, developers spend most of the time on bug fixing, and AKS helps reduces these all debugging times while handling the patching, auto upgrades, and self-healing, and simplifies the whole container orchestrations. It definitely saves a lot of time. The next is identity and access management with Azure AD. So this mostly focuses on the security part. Basically, cyber security is one of the most important aspects of modern applications and business. So advanced identity and access management using Azure Active Directory and dynamic rules of enforcement it across the multiple clusters with the help of Azure policy is possible. So the next orchestration, basically it has orchestration across severe, like almost more regions, than any other cloud provider. So now let's look how simple is it, like what do you need to focus on while deploying, managing and operating the AKS. The first main important aspect you need to look on is like you don't have to focus on infrastructure and just focus on your containers and what kind of resources you want to basically input into that, which basically eliminates all of the infrastructure part and just maintaining your containers. The next is that how you work with open source APIs. You have full flexibility on working with your open source APIs. Then the next is operations. You can scale and run your applications with confidence with auto scaling features, easily provision them with fully managed clusters with automatically configured monitoring capabilities. So you can also use Azure Advisor to optimize your Kubernetes deployments with real-time working environment. Okay. Let's move on to the next, Azure Container Instances. Basically, Azure Container Instances is a solution for any scenario that can operate in an more isolated containers without orchestration. So it runs event-driven applications. It can quickly deploy from your container to development pipelines and run your data processing and also can build your jobs. So basically, containers are becoming more preferred way to package, deploy, and manage any virtual machines without having to adopt a higher level service, right? So container instances is a great solution for any scenario that can operate in an isolated environment, including simple actions and task automations. So let us look at the next part. What is Azure Container Instances? The first is run containers with a single command. This is one of the major factors, and it is very easily you can deploy your containers to the cloud with much simplicity and speed with a single command. So basically, you can use ACI to provision additional compute for demanding workloads whenever you need. The second is per second billing, which is one of the important feature. The next is no virtual machine management. Basically, you can gain the security of virtual machines for your container workloads while preserving the efficiency of lightweight containers. So ACI provides a hypervisor isolation for each container group to ensure containers run in isolation without sharing a kernel. Let's look at the next. What can you build with Azure Container Instances? The first major thing is data processing jobs. You can use ACI for data processing, where the source data is ingested, processed, and placed in a much more durable storage location, such as maybe Azure Blob Storage, or else by processing the data with ACI rather than statically provisioning them with VM, or you can achieve a more cost saving through per second billings, as we have seen in the feature. So it has more event-driven applications with Azure Logic Apps. Basically, if you combine your ACI with ACI Logic Apps connector, Azure Queues and Azure Functions to build more robust infrastructure, which can scale out containers on demand. Like with ACI instances, you can run complex set of tasks which are capable of responding to events. The next is virtual nodes. Basically, with virtual node, you can burst into Azure Container Instances where you have no VM management. This enables you to scale your Kubernetes clusters even faster when you combine the concepts like horizontal pod autoscaler. Okay, let's move on to the demo right now, guys. I'll be showing you how easy it is to create an Azure Container Instances and how easy it is to deploy one. So let's start with creating one. So similarly, you can select the subscription which you want to, where you want to deploy your ACI, create a resource group. Let us select the one which I've already created. You can give a unique container name. give a region where you want to deploy your ACR, and then you can for image source you have multiple options. You can use the ACR or else use an Docker Hub registry. I'll be just using an from pulling an image from the Docker Hub for now. So you can select the OS type. It has support for both Linux and Windows. The size depends on what kind of instance, how much storage you want. The next, you can give a particular unique DNS name through which you'll be accessing your ACI. Let us give us one. The rest are the advanced configuration. If you're into it, you can create one. So once the validation is done, then you can go on and create your ACI. So it won't take much time. It's basically hardly a minute or so, but I have already created one. So let us discard this and use that. So one of the major things you need to focus on once you create an Azure container instances is the status, if it's running or not. This is one of the major thing. And then for accessing your container instances, you need to just copy this domain name and then paste in your paste in your web browser, and that's it. You can access the same. So this is just one of the major simplest way. And if you are looking for if there is some logs, or if you are looking for some error, or when the image got pulled, if there is any disturbances, so you can check those particular details here. You can go to the logs. If you're accessing this, every logs are generated. So it is much lightweight and easy to do all the needful requirements. So now let us go back to the slide and continue our rest of the session. Now let's look at so as per by the data we have collected, by the end of 2020, more than 50% of the enterprises will run much more mission critical and containerized cloud native application in the production. So yeah, you can be part of this future. So I'll be showing you a case study which we have generated, worked on, which is one of the leading MNC company. And what are the challenges we face, and what are the main solutions we have provided. We'll be discussing about this particular task. So let us look on that. So the main summary of the project, it is basically they wanted to modernize their existing infrastructure where they can develop and deploy application using automation with serverless technology. The challenges they faced is that they had the infrastructure was management team was very sparse. Whole infrastructure management was very slow and has a very slow business process. So yeah, and they had inefficient resource management where they didn't have the proper utilization of all the resources. There was no automation there. So these were the challenges they faced, and for that particular, we have main pain points which we have noted down. So they had basically manual process workloads, which lacked many consistency and has had a lot of deployment errors. And they used to always take time to onboard any new resources if they had, which is one of the major issues they faced. They had a lot of capex, basically required a capital expense, and they had a lot of planning to add a new resources. The solutions for this particular challenges, we provided them we managed services, which lets you focus on more administrative tasks, you could say, and it speeds up the deployments. So we have also provided them with DevOps to automate and automate the development cycle, basically. So the achievements after particular all the they have gained is that they have faster onboarding of new application, they have added automation with DevOps, and they have fastened the development cycle. They have improved the efficiency of the whole team, they are on whenever they have new resources. It is very easy and time very quicker way to onboard the resources. So yes, that's it for the case study. We'll be moving to the slide. So yeah, that's it for the session. If you have any queries, please post on the chat. We'll be trying to address them. The next, where these are, if I will be pausing this particular slide for a second. If you want, you can take the screenshot. These are the links for the next webinars. Please, if you go into a LinkedIn page, if you want, you can register these for these webinars. So yeah, will be very it will be very helpful for us if you just could give us a feedback for our sessions. You could go to the website www.ifi.tech/webinar feedback and give us our input so we can improve for our future sessions. So for today's session, we have Mr. Vikas Kumawat, who will be joining us for the Q&A session. He's a senior cloud consultant.
Okay, so there's one question from a query. Service Fabric is also a container orchestration. Then why do we? Then on what basis we offer an Service Fabric to AKS, right? So Service Fabric is a great when it comes for microservices, not really for container specific. It can do container orchestration, but it still lacks when it comes to monitoring, networking, right? Service mesh, it still lacks on those areas. That's where you should be using AKS. Also, Service Fabric had a support for Windows containers before even AKS or Kubernetes, right? But now Kubernetes also does support Windows containers. So you think if you have Windows container, then you should run them on AKS instead of Service Fabric because of those reasons I mentioned, like service mesh, monitoring, right? The networking, the capability you get with the Kubernetes are not available in Service Fabric. While if you're developing services specific to Service Fabric or to run in a Service Fabric, right? Those services, then yeah, Service Fabric is the only option that you have for those. But if for container, yeah, we would recommend go for Kubernetes or AKS on Azure. Okay, the other one, if we have a Docker Hub, then why we go for a ACR, right? That's another. So Docker Hub, again, it's a public repository. You can always buy a private repository, right? But again, if you are running in Azure, then why would you want to keep your images outside the Azure, right? That's why. So again, the ACR is built on the Docker Hub only, but again, it's a private repository, right? So all of your images are private by default, right? And again, the cost is not that, right? It's not that much. So if you have already workload in Azure, you're running containers in Azure, then ACR should be your choice. But again, you can use Docker Hub as well. No one stopping you to do that. If you are interested in more in cloud updates, right, please do follow us on these social media channels, right? We do post regular cloud updates daily, weekly, monthly basis, right? There are different segments of those posts. So if you are interested in cloud, then yeah, you should follow us. Maybe you want to look what we have posted, and we have some great blogs on our website as well. Even if you are just starting out, we do have posts for those as well. For them, so go to our website ifi.tech and check out if you can find anything useful. Okay, so before we move, there's a one can we create a Docker Swarm environment in Azure? Yes, you can definitely do that. Again, you can create a bunch of virtual machine and create a Docker Swarm cluster within those virtual machine. There are some open source ARM templates also available, right? Automated templates. You just fill those entries and GitHub, and then they will deploy the Docker Swarm cluster for you. Even you don't have to create manually on your own as well, right? So yeah, in Azure you have the capability, since again you can run your infrastructure workload as well, and you can do whatever you want to do those virtual machines. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and thanks for taking out time